Over the years, I have found the right uses a whole host of tricks aimed at derailing progressive arguments. I have seen their efforts to nullify the democratic voice firsthand, and as such I have seen the right play all their little childish games. In this video I have documented the rules that they play by and how to counteract them.
If a liberal is winning an argument, try to derail that argument by switching topics. Change the subject to one that you can win, or at least a different one.
Don't let them get away with this. The best way to overcome this tactic of changing the subject is for you to stay on topic and bring them right back to it by forcing them to answer questions about the subject.
If you cannot discredit the argument of a liberal, try to damage the reputation of that liberal. Don't be afraid to throw some insults at that bleeding heart. Try to get them mad. So mad that they start throwing insults back. If they are fighting like this, they'll forget about the topic.
Instead of trading insults with them, just confront them with the fact that they would not be throwing insults if they could support their arguments. Then remind them about their thin skin. For as many insults that Republicans throw, they whine like little children. When they hear something that they don't like, they have been whining and crying because they were stupid enough to call themselves tea-backers without knowing that the term already had a meaning. Now, they start crying when anyone calls them a tea-backer. So, remind them that someone who lives in a glass house shouldn't throw rocks.
When using the internet, make up as many screen names as you can. That way it will seem like they're more conservatives than liberals. Remember, the best friend that a Republican has on the internet are his sock puppets. It can only be you against 20 liberals. You know that they outnumber us 4-1, but you can make it look like we outnumber them with your trusty sock puppets. Hey, a good trick is to have 1 or 2 sock puppets that pretend to be liberals, who always take your side and let you win the argument. Tell other liberals how wrong they are. That is an enabling troll. You are able to confront the liberals by creating a personality that is pretending to be one of them to defend you. By pretending to be one of them, you can throw them off their guard.
This tactic is one to recognize and not let it deter your commitment. One of these trolls can be identified by an overt defense of those who they should be opposing. The best way to deal with this type of troll is to expose them or ignore them. Never take their criticism to heart, for they are liars.
Pretend to be a liberal when calling out talk shows or posting on the internet. You will say that you've been a long lifetime Democrat. But now you are so disgusted that you're switching and becoming a Republican.
This type of person will hang themselves if given enough rope. Listen to their words, for that will give them away. Also take note that a true liberal will never abandon their principles to ally with those attacking other liberals, and almost never will someone make such a switch for a minor thing.
One of the best tools that a righty has is projection. The best way to keep from being detected is to accuse your opponent of doing the very thing that you are doing. Such as if you're using sock puppets online, accuse them of doing that. And this will put them on the defensive and keep them from looking at you.
When you see this, just tell the person that their projection will not work on you. Let's say that they are accusing you of being afraid of the dark. What they are telling you is that they are afraid of the dark themselves, and what you need to do is turn that around on them.
Try put the liberals on defense. That way they will defend their party and beliefs. And that way they won't come after you. The last thing that you as a conservative want is to have a liberal offensive.
What you need to do is go on the offense. Don't let the conservative control the conversation. Make sure that each time you defend your political opinions that you go on the offensive. Republicans like to be the ones cornering you, but they hate trying to defend their party. So ask them questions that will make the Republican defend their party. Such as make them defend the elitism of the Republican Party. Ask them how can they support giving so much aid to the rich while ignoring the other 97% of Americans.
Try using intimidation. You don't have to use physical threats. You can accuse them of insulting you by demeaning your character. What you want is to make them be good little liberals and act afraid of offending us.
Remember that anyone using this tactic is no more than a schoolyard bully that can be silenced by standing up to them. Once again, put them on the defense by asking them, what are they so afraid of, that they would try to intimidate anyone that they disagree with?
Claim that you have answered all the questions, even if you have not.
This is a simple one, just ask them if they didn't understand your answer and rephrase it, but don't let them play the game of getting you to ask it over and over.
Claim that the liberals haven't answered your question, even if they have, and claim that they won't answer the questions that you haven't even asked.
What you should do here is to post the link to where you gave the answer. In that way you can stop the childishness.
Repeat the Republican talking points. It doesn't matter if they're true, for the more people hear them, the more likely they all be to believe them.
Demand that they provide their sources. If they are only parroting the Republican talking points, they will not be able to do this, or they will give some right-wing link like Newsmax or Fox News.
Claim the liberals are being desperate.
Either ignore this, or turn it back on them. Tell them if they were not so desperate they would stick to the subject.
Create irrelevant associations to their past.
Most important is to ask why they are trying to make you look bad. Instead of just denying their false claims, look at what they are trying to divert your attention from. They are lying about you for a reason. You are getting too close to the truth, which is upsetting them, and which is why they are trying to discredit you. So, look at what you were saying when they started attacking you. That is what you need to go on the offense with, so bringing that subject back up. Don't allow them to change the subject with their false charges. You just stick to the subject and watch them lose it when they can't get to you.
Deny, 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 and never admit to being wrong, or then you'll be caught.
This tactic is best dispelled by exposing it as just denial. Ask them to refute any of the facts that you have laid out. Do not let them get away with saying that they could prove you wrong without doing so. Make them show you their hand. Remember, if they're using denial as a defense, that you have almost won the fight.
While claiming to be impartial, accuse the liberals of being partisan. It doesn't matter how partisan that you are. Just deny it. If they talk about the Republican Party, say that you're not a Republican. Claim that you are an independent or something else that isn't widely known. Heck, just make up a party's name and watch the confusion.
Don't fall for this tactic. Just identify this tactic as projection, which is again, when they project what they are doing onto you. You can counter this by asking them why they have to be so partisan. Try to challenge them to be more non-partisan, which they won't, but it will put them back on the defensive.
Avoiding the liberals' argument is the secret to success. Try twisting their words to mean the opposite of what they said. Don't be afraid to take their words out of context. This will put them on the defensive and keep them from asking you pointed questions that you don't want to answer. One way is to keep asking them pointless questions that have nothing to do with what you're talking about.
Know this tactic and recognize it as one of the favorites of the right.
I have found that the best way to deal with this dishonesty is to question their intelligence and integrity, and that they should be able to understand what you were really saying. Then suggest that they do understand and are too dishonest to admit it. Repeat your questions to them and challenge them to answer them.
What every progressive Democrat needs to remember is that an open dialogue is our greatest ally, because the facts are on our side. This is why you will find that the extreme right does not want to engage in a real dialogue. They know that they will lose when a debate is fair and balanced. This is why they will try everything possible to avoid such discussions. We can win when we force them to talk and listen. I hope you have found this video to be useful.